Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is Friday, September 18th, and this is our 25th episode
25
of the Natural Dye Comedy Hour that you have come to love and know. Feedback Friday. And as always, and I checked this morning, I'm Kathy Hattori, and along with Amy Dufault, who is so getting ready to go on vacation, it's just palpable. We are bringing you our 25th episode of the show where we talk to scholars, artists, dyers, activists, educators, anybody who's interested in natural dyes and color. Today, I have to read my notes. I didn't have time to even practice them. So today our presenter is Babs Behan, who's joining us from Bristol, England. And Babs is a textile artist and also the activist behind the organization for getting fabrics locally sourced and revitalized in Bristol. Bristol's in the, I believe, the southwest of England, closer to the Wales border, and they have a strong textile tradition. Babs is here to talk to us about her project and her current work and the amazing things she's doing. Babs is also the author of this very beautiful, fascinating book on natural dyeing. It's probably one of the prettiest books I've ever seen. Makes you just kind of want to go out and forage. So it covers printing as well as types of eco dyeing and immersion dyeing. So it's well worth it. Before we start, I just want to say thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I keep saying every week, this has been a tough week. Okay, this was really a tough week. Not only did we have like the issues with the pandemic, but then we also could not breathe. But things are better. The air has gone from hazardous to unhealthy, and it's never felt this good to be unhealthy, I have to tell you. So we're hoping this weekend it's going to go back down to normal, and we're really hoping that there's enough moisture so that the fires begin to quell here in the Pacific Northwest. There's still amazing perils in California and the rest of the West, but we're working on this, and yeah, it's been a tough week, but we're happy it's here. We're happy it's Friday, and welcome again. So thank you everyone for all of your help and support during this pretty unprecedented and amazing time. I'm hoping in a couple of years we're going to look back at this and go, oh yeah, remember when it was so crazy? And now we're back to normal again, I'm hoping. For a little housekeeping, Amy's going to be our moderator and she'll be monitoring the chat. We'll open up the chat after the presentation. You can ask questions of Babs via chat, and Amy will then relay those to Babs. The call is being recorded, and we'll have the recording available for you on, I believe, Monday.
Oh no.
Oh,
like by the morning.
By the morning.
Remember,
this woman is motivated. She's going on
motivation.
That's right. She's going on vacation. It's going to be ready in the morning. And we'll have a video copy on our site, botanicalcolors.com, as well as links to all the information that we're talking about today. And so now we're just going to turn it over to Babs. Welcome, and can't wait to hear your talk.
Amazing.
Do you want to have the Feedback Friday song, Hands Up, or no?
Oh my God, I forgot.
All right, yeah, I mean, Suzanne's got limbered up, so
okay, we're going to play our theme song. Are you ready
to mute myself this time? I'm not going to mute myself this time?
No, don't.
So you guys can continue to hear the song.
That's right.
We're going to play it the same way we did last week. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, it's the end of the week. Now where you been? Well, now it's Feedback Friday, so come on in. Don't sit down and stare at your screen. We got a presenter that you never seen. We're Feedback Friday, we're on the loose. We'll be the brain, you be the caboose. It's Feedback Friday with with Kathy and Amy, mashed potatoes and the gravy. Feedback Friday, all day
It's too
long.
much, you guys. It's too much.
Feedback Friday.
Oh God, I don't know how to
Oh,
stop it. Hold on. I'm gonna
this.
mute myself.
Well, welcome, Babs. This is what we do every week, just
Wow.
so you know.
I love it. And some people are really having it. That was awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here with you guys and be connecting with all of you from Bristol. And I think it's almost exactly 2 years since I was over with Kathy in Seattle doing a workshop in the studio to promote my book, which had just been released then. So it's a really nice timing. It's nice to be connecting again now after these couple of years. And so I'm just gonna start to share my screen so you can see my slides. Here we go. So I was just going to talk a little bit about what I've been doing with natural dyes, my kind of journey into natural dyeing, and my passion for working with the plant colours, and how this has been a journey from natural dyeing into regenerative bioregional textile systems. And so just to say a little bit about what I do, firstly, I'm a natural dyer, and I'm an author of my book, which Kathy just showed you, Botanical Inks, and that's been out for a couple of years. It shows you how to approach natural dyeing from scratch through sourcing and preparing fibers, scouring, mordanting, finding color around you, and using a range of different surface application techniques, from bundle dyeing and screen printing to shibori and all kinds of things, and to making finished products in the end as well. So you can start as a total beginner or have some experience, and you'll find a journey in there that's going to nourish your practice. So I have the book, and I teach workshops. How do I get these slides going? There's the book. I have a studio in Bristol where I do small scale natural dyeing services for brands and designers, and private commissions. And I teach workshops. In the last kind of 5-6 years, I've been doing Botanical Inks. I've been traveling all over the UK and also into Europe and the States, teaching all the different techniques that I have in the book, and showing people a really lovely way to connect with nature using creativity and local plant-based materials. And so I create all different kinds of colours, mainly from plants, but also occasionally work with mineral and insect dyes as well. And for my productions, I'll work with a bigger dye house in the north of England, where I can dye much bigger quantities of mainly yarn, but also piece dyeing and garment dyeing. And my main passion project at the moment, which I do also see as a form of activism, as Kathy really nicely said, is the Bristol Cloth project. And it kind of brings together all of my practice into a cohesive product, which I hope shows a way that we can be making things that's more holistic. So this is the Bristol Cloth here. So my passion for natural dyeing is very much about connecting with nature. I love to get out and go for big hikes in the countryside and go to all different kinds of landscapes, to the seaside, hills, rivers, moorlands, and just to see what plants are there and what colours they offer throughout the years. I love to watch how they change through the seasons, and you'll see the energy of the plant going from the green shoots in spring into the flowers and the fruits, and then back down into the roots. And it's really such a beautiful way to connect with the plant world by noticing and being curious about this transitioning energy, which is very cyclical. It's kind of coming up out of the ground and blossoming and then going back down into the roots, resting until it comes back up around again the following year. So I love to get out and forage local colours. Around here, I'm often drawn to nettles are so abundant, and docks, bracken out in the woods. In the summer, there's flowers everywhere, and this time of year, it's all berries and the mushrooms are coming up. And in a few months, it'll be more interesting to look at the roots again, so the dock roots and dandelion roots, which there are so many of around here. I love to work with local growers. There's a few really beautiful local seasonal flower growers near me who use a chemical-free process, and they produce a lot of dahlias and roses and peonies, and it's an absolute joy to go and deadhead their flowers that they don't want, recycle them to create really exciting colours and prints. And I also just love to connect with people in my community in Bristol, foraging urban colours. So I'll work with the organic shops and cafes and take their used coffee grains and tea bags, always rummaging in onion boxes and in the local Whole Foods shop for skins that they don't need. And yeah, it's a lovely way to kind of move around the city and interact with people, kind of foraging, hunting colour from different places. And my practice is very much a non-toxic natural dye practice, and very specifically about using just 100% natural fibres. And I try and source as locally as possible to where I'm based in Bristol. So in the UK, we have an absolute abundance of wool, incredible rare breed wools. We have cashmere goats, merino, we have alpacas, all kinds of incredible animal fibres. There's even organic piece silk producer in Hertfordshire on the other side of the country, which they make the most beautiful silks. We used to have linen and hemp a very long time ago, even cotton, but these things are no longer available as, oh, just got a bit of sun coming in the computer. We no longer have these fibre crops here, so the closest we can source them from is Europe. So I'm often importing hemp, linen from Europe, and cotton, organic cotton unbleached, will generally come from Turkey as the closest place. And so I'm very much kind of aware of what materials, what dye plants and natural fibres are available in my provenance. And it's always been interesting to work with those limitations and see how it breeds creativity. And it's been the starting point of the Bristol Cloth, to see, what is here and what's available, what works, and to go from there, rather than trying to, create something that really is only kind of existing on the other side of the world. So in this picture, that's an image of the Shetland Romney lamb's wool that we use for the Bristol Cloth production, and it's in its natural unbleached white fleece. Some of the processes I use, that I talked about in the book, are bundle dyeing, using local materials to create direct impressions onto fabric and also paper. And I love this technique because it's a really kind of multi-sensual experience where I can smell all the fragrances from the flowers and feel the kind of velvety soft texture of the petals. And there's something really magical about having that direct impression from the actual plants. There's an image from the book of the bundle dyeing techniques. It's a really lovely way to kind of bring in different herbs and work with the herbal essences and have a good understanding of what their kind of magic and power is and healing capacities and how you can work with them. I actually use bundle dyeing as more of a kind of intuitive herbalist kind of mindfulness practice. And some shibori I love working with, not just with indigo, but with other plants. This one is a mix of eucalyptus and dock. And I'm very much into making inks and paints, and for drawing and printing and also painting. What I love about the natural dye colors is that you're really able to get a whole kaleidoscope, a whole rainbow of colors. A lot of people tend to think that natural dyes are only very muted or pale colors, but actually, you know, they can be incredibly vibrant and deep and rich. And I always love to show people this picture to show them, you know, what the possibilities are, that you can really create every color of the rainbow in very vibrant shades using natural dyes. So piece dyeing is something that I love to do in my practice, and working with yarns. And here's the picture of the Shetland Romney sheep from Fernhill Farm, where we do the Bristol Cloth. My working with natural dyes is really, you know, it's really made me very conscious of the materials that are growing around me. And I've been fascinated by watching this kind of cyclical nature of the plants, especially in England, where the seasons are so apparent. And to really take this kind of cyclical nature of the seasons into heart with the changing of the plants around me, being really present with them, going out on walks and foraging and kind of really being there to see how they're changing throughout the year, and being present to the fiber crops we have around us, seeing, you know, the sheep when they're being shorn, and, you know, how they are moving throughout the fields differently in the year. It's really beautiful to be in the West Country and be able to have access to the farms and these natural spaces where you can really connect and see how things are moving through the year. So I think this has been a real inspiration for the Bristol Cloth, which is very much a cyclical system. It's born from the idea of a cradle to cradle system, which is mimicking these systems found in nature, and very much inspired by the fibre shed systems working with local provenance. So with this in mind, we've taken the fibres we have available to us in this locality, this being this incredible Shetland Romney breed from Fernhill Farm. And it's one of the most beautiful, strong and soft wools that you can get in the UK. And it's bred specifically to endure the quite harsh conditions of the Mendip Hill ranges, where they're conservation grazing. So the wonderful thing about this farm is that they kind of have the sheep out in the fields throughout the whole year, pretty much. They're using a system called conservation grazing or regenerative farming, where there's a real kind of symbiosis with the animals and the land and the plants, which is regenerating the soil, sequestering carbon from the atmosphere, and giving the animals a really very high quality of life and welfare. It's a really special system, and I think actually I'll just show you the film at this point to kind of give you more of a overview of what it looks like. Amy, if you'd like to play the film.
Abs, you have to, yeah, unshare and then right. Get this here. Oh. Give me a sec here. Sorry, guys.
The British landscape and economy have been shaped by the textiles industry. Local textile production was integral to our farming systems and our livelihoods. Today, traditional British textiles are threatened nearly to extinction, and the fabrics we use and wear are part of a damaging global production system. What's missing from the UK is a locally sourced and manufactured cloth for designers to work with. We are setting out to change this by creating the Bristol Cloth, a sustainable, bioregional material that regenerates rather than degrades our land and natural resources.
I'm Jen Hunter at Fernhill Farm, and we are the fibre providers for the Bristol Cloth project.
I'm Behan from Botanical Inks, and I do the natural dyeing for the Bristol Cloth project.
I'm Juliet from the Bristol Weaving Mill, and we are the manufacturers and technical advisors involved in the Bristol Cloth project.
We've always considered ourselves holistic, and all our decisions link back to the social aspects and the environmental impact. We need to regenerate our soils. The idea is that you mimic natural grazing herd habitats, which means they're always moving on to fresh pasture. There's a lot of nutrients going back into the soil, and plants that are growing on regenerative soils are actually sequestering the carbon. With blade shearing, you can leave an inch of wool fibre all over the sheep's body so that she's insulated from the sun and from the rain. All round, our system seems to be a high welfare system. It's chemical free, it's completely transparent, and there is a very low footprint on the world.
We use local organic plant dye materials and natural fibres as part of a non-toxic creative practice. We chose madder and weld to dye the Bristol Cloth yarn. Madder is a root and weld is a yellow flowering plant, and that gives a beautiful burnt rusty orange. We do the dyeing process without using any toxic synthetic materials at all. It's not only not polluting, it's biopositive, it's creating things which then become food and nourishment for other life forms.
It's about 90 years since the last textile factory in Bristol closed, and since then there's not really been any manufacturing in the city, so we're really excited to bring it back. And the textile industry as a whole in the UK is going through quite an exciting time where we're seeing a resurgence of artisan fabrics, and people are really valuing those traditional methods. I think a lot of people agree that the industry as it is not sustainable, and it's so important that we start putting these robust systems in place. The involvement of all the people along the way has created this really unique fabric, and it's truly a Bristol cloth.
We need your support to help recreate the local production of textiles and to create a regenerative cloth. You'll be supporting carbon sequestering agriculture, non-toxic natural dye processes, and small-scale weaving, bringing bioregional artisan cloth production back to our shores. It feels like the Bristol Cloth is a really beautiful example of what's possible when people come together, sharing their passions to create something that's bigger than themselves.
All right.
Well, that is so beautiful.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. Babs, thank you. Thank you for all of that and all that you're doing.
Is my time up, or is there a bit more time?
Oh, there's tons of time. It's only 9:25.
There's so much time.
Yeah. Keep talking.
Yeah, keep
Okay,
talking.
I
I
just
just
got a few
opened
more
up the
slides I was gonna
chat.
go through.
Opened up the chat for you guys so you can ask questions of Babs. And I guess as soon as I ask you a question, somebody's going to ask a question. But can you, Babs, maybe talk more about about the idea of the regenerative cloth itself? Is the Bristol Cloth project, is it part of the fiber shed community? I know you're near it's the Southwest England, right?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so we're one of the affiliates of the Fibre Shed Southwest England. And Bristol Cloth is actually one of the case studies in a new Fibre Shed book. It's a really exciting project because it's the first of its kind in England to be using completely locally sourced, locally farmed fibre, using a regenerative system and the entire manufacturing process is set within the UK. There's just not really anything like this around. And it's, you know, completely, every single stage of sourcing and production, there's real care taken to make sure that it's a chemical-free process at every step. So we're not using any fertilizers on the ground or synthetic detergents for processing the wool, no harmful synthetic chemicals on the in the dyeing process or oils in the spinning process. Like the whole thing is completely natural materials and organic standards, soaps and water. It's really simple. And so the idea is that we're creating something that's safe to produce and process, safe for everyone involved in the process, and something that can go back into the soil at the end of its useful life cycle, and not just be not polluting, but actually be giving nutrients to the soil. But the regenerative process is very much, it's more of a holistic system. There's a lot of different factors to it. So, you know, we have the non-toxic aspect to it. It's very much in this case about how the sheep are mimicking natural grazing herds. And there's a lot of sheep. At this farm, they have about 2,000 of them in one flock, and they have them all in one space at a time. They're moved on every day by the farmer, the shepherd. So they're constantly having new pasture to graze from, which is really healthy for them. And the land behind them that gets left behind each day, it has a lot of nutrients that's gone back into it from the sheep. It's been turned with their hooves, so it's been aerated. And that's a really great way for the soil to absorb all of those nutrients and sequester carbon from the atmosphere. Because it's left for a long time before the sheep return to that spot, it means that plants are able to grow really tall. And with tall plants, you have deep roots. So with that, you get maximum carbon sequestration happening. And because there's no chemicals used in the farming process, and there is this long period of time for the land to rest, you actually get a diverse amount of plants coming up. It's not just one or two types of grass. There's many different kinds of plants, and that in itself is also putting diverse nutrients into the ground, and also offering a diverse diet for the sheep when they come back around to that field.
Mm-hmm. Somebody's asking, and I'm not familiar with this book, and I feel like, anyways, is the type of farming practices that you're using similar to what Isabella Tree writes about in The Wilding, or inspired by it? Have you read that?
I haven't read it.
I haven't either, so I don't. But now we're going to have to write down The Wilding, and everybody apparently read it. Somebody was also asking where you source hemp fabrics from in Europe. Do you have a place you share with us?
Is generally where I would go to. I don't have a specific supplier I could give, but Romania and Lithuania are kind of the centers for hemp.
Yeah, okay. So how hard has it been to find equipment for the mills? Are you using vintage machines, or are they new?
Well, the thing is, in England, we had once a booming wool industry. It was actually our biggest export for a long time. You know, this is only nearly 200 years ago that this kind of stopped, and we started exporting the industry elsewhere. But there's a huge amount of mill towns and machinery dotted around. Generally, I mean, the mills we're working with, they're really old. They've been around for donkey's years. But the weaving mill, they actually only recently set up in Bristol in 2015, and they're using vintage machinery. They've got an old Dormier loom, and they're the first weaving mill to open in Bristol in 100 years. But we're working with really long established family run businesses who've, you know, had their machinery for a long time. And it's been very much about, for the Bristol Cloth, connecting the dots, because all of the facilities and, you know, all of the people you need are there. It's just putting it all together, joining the dots and creating something that's as it used to be, but also more sustainable, and not even just sustainable, but actually regenerative. So kind of even better than it was before.
Yeah, it's like adding a whole new layer to to creating these regional supply chains. That's exciting. What's old is new. How do you see small clothing companies transitioning to a more regenerative model? Maybe some of the brands that you've worked with doing production.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's very much about the fabric and the materials. And I think there's a lot of big brands transitioning to regenerative using, you know, large suppliers from Asia generally. I think it's more interesting to look at the smaller scale artisan and fiber shed style productions, you know, locally to wherever you are. And I mean, the whole point of the Bristol Cloth project really for me was to create a local sustainable cloth for local tailors to work with. And yeah, so I mean, really for local tailors to be regenerative, they need to be working with this cloth. There's not really anything else like it. But I mean, there are other regenerative textile systems dotted around. There's a few in California which are incredible, and throughout the States, which you know of well. And I think it's very much about tuning into what's there locally and supporting those producers, because they, you know, we need support. And I think it takes a lot for designers, brands, tailors to shift away from what they've been used to, the price points they've been used to, and limitations of working with just one or two kinds of cloth, and having to, you know, change the thread that you use for working with it, you know, go from like a poly thread to cotton or a linen. But I think if the passion is there to really create something that's purist and holistic in the same way as the cloth is, you know, it does take a bit of a jump.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're seeing that a lot too with botanical colors. When people come to us, it's like this whole other mindset when a brand comes to us that we have to like get them to slow down, and it's like a whole other model. But it's something very special that we're helping to be part of, like, you know, like that you're talking about too. Is all the fiber processing done in Bristol? The scouring, carding, spinning, etc.? No,
it's really the farming, the dyeing and the weaving that are in this locality. We don't have the other facilities in Bristol, so we've actually had to work with Paul, who does the scouring and spinning. He's based in Yorkshire, and the finishers are there as well, finishers and cutters. But the way that we look at it is that, you know, Bristol, I mean, England is a fiber shed in itself. The fiber shed of Northern California that was originally set up was 150-mile radius, and that's pretty much the size of England. So we're quite happy to just be completely UK based. And if there's a few elements that are in Bristol, then that's, you know, that's great.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. How does this system differ from what they do in the Upper Hebrides?
So the Harris tweed, I think you're probably talking about, is, I mean, it used to be like this. And it still is very much about local provenance. You have the sheep from Skye and Uist, and maybe a couple other little islands around there. The scourers, spinners, dyers, weavers, all based in that locale. So it's, you know, it's very much a system that, you know, we aspire to be similar to. It's all about local craftsmanship and sustaining the craftsmanship. At one point, very long ago, it used to be using local natural dyes, so the lichens and the heathers and the moor plants, and, you know, and it was really a soil to soil, local bioregional system very much. However, things have changed, you know, in the last 100 years or so, and it's not what it used to be. You know, they're using bleaches and chemical processes, synthetic spinning oils, and all of the dyes are synthetic, which is such a shame. So it's not really a healthy or sustainable product that they're making. although it is locally sourced. So it feels like Bristol Cloth's quite different to what Harris Cloth has become.
Okay. Let me see. How many meters or yards at one time can you dye? How much plant matter is collected for those production runs?
So because we've gone in our second production, so the first production we did 200 meters. Yeah. The second production we did another 200 meters. But the first time when I was doing the dyeing, it took me I think 7 days of like long kind of 14 hours each day doing the dyeing with a few not particularly large, maybe like 100-liter stainless steel vats. And it was absolutely backbreaking, and I never want to do that ever again. And in winter as well, just to add, so it was like freezing and just not particularly enjoyable. And so the second production, I was really happy to connect with a commercial dye house, and we took the yarn there, and they have, you know, the cone winders where you can do 50 cones at a time, and all of the yarn can just go in one pot together. You have a few kgs all come out the same color, and you don't have to lift anything because it's all automated on machines. And there's no kind of tipping buckets of water out here and there. It's all just really simple system of machines with taps and pipes going in and out and temperature levels you can gauge. And it's just incredible to streamline the dye process like that. So even though we only did another 200 meters on the second run, you know, they in this dye house will do up to several hundred tons if they want to. Not that I would ever be interested to work on that scale, but it's, you know, we're not limited really in the amount of dyeing that we can do, I think.
Yep. I think I was stuck there for a minute.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, is it Babs or me? Oh no, just let Babs keep going. What mordants are you using, and how are you disposing of them? Are you using an organic process?
So generally when I'm doing, you know, all kinds of natural dyeing processes, I tend to focus more on using the plant-based mordants. So in the UK, I like to work with rhubarb leaf and also oat galls for tannin. And when we were working on this particular production, it made more sense to be working with mineral mordants, but we only use non-toxic minerals. So alum and cream of tartar have been used for mordanting the wool for Bristol Cloth. And it's all done at the dye house, and all of the wastewater goes into it's basically like the municipal filtration systems. So it's considered pretty clean and safe.
Mm-hmm. I have to read this entire one from Polly Fur. She says, so excited to see and hear Babs. Her book is the most beautiful in my collection! Exclamation point. Your presentation is everything that I hoped. Who makes the final products from the Bristol Cloth, and what else is made? Do you sell yardage, Babs?
Thank you very much. So, oh gosh, there were lots of questions there.
Yeah, so who makes the final products from the Bristol Cloth, and what else is made? And then do you sell yardage?
Sure. So in the Bristol Cloth first production, which we ran as a crowdfunder and pre-sold everything in advance, we had 3 different local tailors that we worked with to create finished sewn garments and accessories. So there was Millie from Obi Wear, who made zero waste t-shirts and wraparound jumpsuits, stunning. And Chikoto, who made all of our accessories, so bags and purses and cushion covers. And they're literally just around the corner from the weaving mill in my studio as well, in Old Market. And then we had Brown in town as well, who makes fine tailoring 3-piece suits. And sadly, no one actually pledged to buy a 3-piece suit. but he is putting in an order of cloth at the moment, so I hope that's going to happen soon. And so since then, they're the only local tailors I've worked with on Bristol Cloth. We've had all kinds of people buying cloth for their own, you know, small collections and one-off pieces. But yeah, it's something that at the moment I'm trying to gain more interest in, working with other brands to produce things. There's been all kinds of conversations with people and big brands about doing things, and it's a really interesting journey trying to find the right people and the right size brands. So it's still something that I'm learning about, really.
Mm-hmm. And what those brands, you know, what they want to offer to their customers and the price that they're going to pay is the true test. Whoa, Fiona Coleman's in Bristol next week. Where can I find Bristol Cloth? Is there in real life stockist of the products?
So yes, well, at the moment I'm the main retailer. So Botanical Inks has an online shop, and that's where you can find the meterage of cloth from both of the productions, the first edition and the second edition, in slightly different colorways. And there's two qualities. So there's a fluffy cold washed finish, which is like these scarves. They're kind of soft and bouncy. And then there's the tailoring quality cloth, which is had the same just cold wash process, but then it's been hot pressed. So it's more of like a smooth kind of, tailoring quality you'd use for coats or skirts. And so both of those qualities in both of the colorways are available on my website, along with the new edition scarves. And this is the normal scarf size, and then there's a blanket scarf as well, which is twice the size. And then we also have a whole load of knitting yarns, which are in the undyed colors and also dyed colors. So what we did with the second production and the first production actually is we took all of the wastewater, the exhaust, there was still lots of color in it, and we decided to dye a whole batch of knitting yarns, which we have in 50-gram hanks. So we used up all the color that was left, and now have a second product from that, which I think is just a really nice way of, you know, having less waste.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all in my shop. And then if you come to Bristol, there's one amazing shop called Ottawin, and they have our scarves as well. It is the most beautiful, sustainable fashion shop you'll ever go to.
Oh my God. I want to go. I like that Kathy prepped her Bristol Cloth behind her today, by the way, as a supporter of the Kickstarter campaign, because Kathy is everyone's #1 supporter.
This is such beautiful fabric, you guys. It's well, first of all, the twill pattern on it. When I was a weaver, this was the pattern I always wanted to be able to weave, and I was marginally successful, but this is a beautiful rendition of it. It's I think it's like almost like a 2-tie weave for those of you who are weavers, and it's got a madder stripe in it. It's soft, but it's also slightly firm, so it feels like it would really wear beautifully. And it's quite fluffy. So mine is 2 meters long. That's like 78 inches. And it's, 78 inches. And then it's, I'm just fringing the ends, and I'll be doing a fringe, you know, like edging on both sides. And then I'll have this beautiful blanket. I'm very excited.
Oh, very nice.
There's so many questions. They're so good. Robin Hamlin's asking, did your weaver buy old looms and equipment and refurbish and set it up, or reopen an old textile factory? Kind of answered this one a little bit, but.
Yeah, the weaving mill, they bought a refurbished Dormier loom, so, and opened up a new space, which is in the same building that the Bristol Textile Court is in. It's not a particularly exciting looking building. It's like
I'm sure it's amazing.
But it's perfect.
All right. Where is the madder and weld grown in quantity in your area?
So this is one of the things we're working on with Bristol Cloth. So we don't have a commercial production of natural dyes around here. So we're having to import the madder and weld for the first production, and it's old fuse stick that we've used for the second. And it's something that basically, by running this production and showing that there is interest in this way of making textiles and fashion using natural materials, it's really important, because it's giving local growers and farmers the confidence and the interest to see that there is a market for this kind of thing. So I'm having a lot of conversations at the moment with farmers who are really interested in the possibilities of growing natural dyes. They see that it's a really high value crop, that it can be used in fallow years, and that it's can be nitrogen fixing and put other nutrients back into the soil, or act as a great cover crop. There's loads of great reasons for them to start working with it, and a lot of the plants are very easy to grow, especially things like madder and weld. They are heritage English plants. They are used to growing in these soils and weather conditions. So the whole point of Bristol Cloth and also Botanical Inks really is to be showing that we can do this, and there is a market for this, and there's interest, and it's growing and expanding, and really encouraging for a localized production to happen. But in the meantime, there are a few other local European productions that we're working with in France and the Channel Islands, and also the Canary Islands. Not quite so local, but still part of Europe. And something really exciting that I'm working on while the farmers are kind of gearing up to getting these productions going is actually working with sail cargo transport and bringing in the European dyes from European farms and processing units, and actually sailing them over to England.
Oh, wow.
In the way that we used to bring all of the really vibrant and interesting natural dyes into the UK. So this is something that's kind of in the process at the moment as well. And we'll see.
That's like full on slow fashion right there. Like, let's put them, but beautiful, beautiful to see, beautiful to consider too. So let's see, Megan Kelly, she's a printmaker and wants to learn more about starting printing on fabric with natural inks. Any advice, or can you talk more or offer any resources to help? Probably, I bet your book is probably a good starting resource about printing.
I just think, look at what 100% natural fibers you can source from around you. In the States, you've got some incredible cotton producers, organic cottons and different colored cottons, and have a look to see what natural mordants are around you, what sources of tannin there are that you can work with, and also sources of starch for making printing mediums, like perhaps potato or corn. And if you want to work in this kind of really low impact soil to soil process, just really start by considering the materials and go from there, and get a copy of the book and get the recipes from there to make the inks.
Are you composting the leftover fleece from the Bristol Cloth project? Do you know if they're doing any composting with it?
So
What can be used? Yeah.
If you go to Jen's farm in the Mendips, you will basically see wool everywhere. It's used for everything. It's stuffing in their walls as insulation in their yurts, and it's mulching in the polytunnel. It's they have 101 uses for fleece there, so it doesn't go to waste at all.
Okay, thanks for that. I love that people are like trying to find uses for every single part of wool, and so that there is no waste at all. When we think of wool, there's it can even be composted. So let's see, we've got a long question here, but I'm gonna condense it to which I think you did answer about what natural mordants are you using. Karen's lives in Tennessee. She's got to be careful about what she's putting in her septic system. And, you know, what other mordants are out there, kind of maybe more plant mordants than just the kind of maybe acetate or sulfate or what are, you know, maybe other mordants that you have used that you've been successful with?
Yeah. Well, I tend to work mostly with rhubarb leaf for animal fibers like wool and silk, and then I'll use oak galls for plant fibers like hemp or linen. And I mean, there's so many sources for these basically tannin rich materials. I'm not really sure what's in the locality there, but I mean, I'm sure you can find rhubarb leaves and oak trees, but you know, and you may find sumac, I guess, I don't know. But you know, if you just think that basically all plants contain tannin to some degree, some more than others, and it's really rich in very kind of woody, tough plant materials like barks from fruit trees and nut trees, roots, you know, think of like coffee and tea, you know, red wine, you know, there's so many sources of tannin, and it's just, I think it's just about seeing what's growing abundantly around you, and being curious to see, you know, what's the tannin content of these things. Do some research online, do some sample tests and see if they're giving color. That's a good indicator of the tannin content.
Is that something that's in your book, Babs? It's like an infomercial. Is that something you discuss in Botanical Inks?
There's a whole section in there on mordanting, and lots of really easy to follow recipes with quantities, and yeah, it's really simple to follow.
That's awesome.
Check that out for sure.
You know what's even more awesome? That we sell it on botanicalcolors.com. Okay, just so do the shepherds that you're working with, do the shepherds have access to a commons, or is this an own piece of land?
So it's really interesting, actually. The farmers are working basically with the local land trust. It's the sheep are basically farmed across the Mendip Hill Range, which is an area of outstanding natural beauty. I'm not sure if that translates into anything similar in the States, but it's like a national park, I guess. So they're conservation grazed there with permission from the landowners. I don't know if that's answering the question. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're really lucky sheep because it's absolutely beautiful up there, and it's really kind of wild, untouched land. Yeah.
I like that Breeze Honeycutt just grabbed her copy of your book and is looking up the mordanting section right now. She's getting ready. Okay. So have you ever coordinated or networked with it's Houston Textile Company in California?
Yeah, I'm aware of their work. I haven't worked with them, but yeah, I think they're really cool.
Yeah, they're doing some really cool stuff there. So hi Diane, is it just one cloth or a portfolio of wovens?
So at the moment we've done 2 production runs. The first production is the one that I'm wearing, which is 2 natural grey fleece colours, a dark grey and a light grey, and then the madder and weld dyed stripe going through it. And like I said before, it's available in 2 different qualities, the accessories and the tailoring quality. And then the second production is this one, which is a natural white and a natural black fleece colour with the mustard yellow stripe from Dyer's Mulberry old fuse stick going through it. And again, in 2 qualities. So at the moment, there's just those 4 cloths.
Okay. I like when we talked last week when you were in a yurt in the middle of nowhere, wrapped in your your Bristol cloth that was keeping you so nice and warm. You looked so cute.
It's really crazy. I love it.
Never leave home without your Bristol cloth.
Never. No,
All right.
country. It's cold out there.
I'm not sure this, okay, is there any monitoring of native plants on the farms? I think you kind of talked about that already, about the kind of working with farmers and how you see native plants factoring into the cloth. But do you have anything else you want to say on that?
I'm not sure about the monitoring technology exactly that they'd be using, but I think, you know, you walk out into the field and you can see there's all kinds of different plants there. So that's kind of a good indication that, you know, the system's working.
I know Renee Robbins asking about learning more about the inks, but I know that's in the book as well. And I don't know if it's kind of it's a big question to tackle at 12:59. But I know there's a whole bunch of information on inks in your book, which
there's really simple recipes in there on how to turn any dye into an ink that's suitable for writing, drawing, block printing, screen printing. So yeah, just check it out.
This will be our final question. So when we're able to travel again, and we will, my friends, be able to travel again. Oh, we will. And we're all going to be together on that day, of course, with nobody else but each other. When we're able to travel, can people visit you or the farms you work with, Babs?
Yeah, I often have people come and they'll arrange a tour where they'll go to the farm and then they'll come and see me in my studio and they'll go to the weaving house. So yeah, that's totally possible. It's not something I personally arrange myself, but yeah, you can do that.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Babs. Talk show host.
I know. Thank you, Babs. That was absolutely amazing. Yeah. Beautiful fabric. What a great project. I love the way you called it a passion project. It's exactly that. And thank you so much and good luck. So just to recap quickly, we're going to have a video of this presentation available tomorrow, and also all of the resources if you're interested in browsing and purchasing Bristol cloth. I would highly recommend it. It's so beautiful. Second thing is there's yarns for sale on her site. I've been kind of looking at them. Beautiful, like cones of natural colored as well as dyed yarns available, and then also scarves and accessories. Number two, I'd love to talk now about next week's presenter, who is Alison Kelly from Flora Obscura. We are so excited to have her. Alison is like the most amazing botanical flower dyer on silk garments that I've seen in quite a while. I mean, she gets incredible color. Her aesthetic is super beautiful, and she's going to be speaking about what she does, and we get to just like see these incredible garments and fabrics that she's making. She's a fiber artist and a fashion designer, creating these amazing one-of-a-kind textiles. And she's also been showing a lot at like the Smithsonian Craft-Aware Show, the ACE at the Chicago Botanical Gardens, and maybe other very high-level crafts shows. So she does have work available. I'm sure she has a website too that we'll be sharing with you next week. So we can't wait for this presentation. Anyway, I think that's the end. It would be great if we had outro music. Maybe when you're up in the cabin, you and Jimmy can create like something.
Stop asking me for so much stuff, Kathy, or I'm going to quit. Okay.
Okay. All right. Just like
so
30 seconds of outro would be incredible, Amy. Look, her eyes are twirling. All right, everyone. Let's unmute for goodbyes. Babs, thank you again. Amy, thank you for like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys. Suzanne. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a great weekend, everyone. Some of you I'll see in about an hour for our cochineal workshop.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Thank you, Kathy. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody
Bye.
can.
Bye.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, there's Liz. Liz Aston.
Hi.
We can't go a Feedback Friday without seeing Liz Aston.
Yay. New outfit?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Yes.
I dyed this with fresh leaf indigo. I wear something new every week that I dye. Fresh leaf indigo with a lightning bolt down the front.
Yeah.
And this.
Excellent. Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Bunch
Cochineal
of dominoes.
for
Oh,
today's
yeah.
class.
Cochineal. Today's class.
Yeah.
Yay.
Hey, Coach Annie.
Yay.
My favorite part about is, signing into the meeting is to see what Kathy has behind her.
I have Bristol Cloth today.
Yeah, today, and you had Laharia the other day.
I had Laharia the other day, and I
Yeah.
had a Cameroon Ndap ceremonial piece the day before.
Oh yes, and I keep seeing the videos. I just finished work, so I look like a zombie. But that day I was like fully dressed, and I remembered I had to see you, and I had to show you the Laharia which my mom got. But then my internet just went down that day. So.
Oh, okay. So next
I'll send you
time,
a picture.
yes,
Yeah,
please
sometime.
show us
Yeah.
a picture.
Thank you, guys.
Seen as
Show us a
zombie?
picture. I'd love to see it. I love Laharia. I love it. All
Okay,
right.
bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. I'm turning
Kathy's
off the
still recording
recording.
too.
Here we go. It has stopped.